Hello everyone, welcome to Goblin6. My name is Hobbs and I run the place. So a lot of people don't know this, but we've been around for actually 5 years. So the site originally started Halloween 2017 and I have always wanted to cut a video of everything we have to offer. So for example, fan sites, they're dead and gone. There are very, very few left, especially Resident Evil ones. A lot of them were great, some sucked. But regardless of however they were, they inspired me to make my own site. So a lot of times, either on stream, podcasting, whatever, I'll refer to the site as we, even though technically it's just me. I don't know, it just feels weird to say I. So we do have a couple things going on, site, forum, wiki, gallery. That would be the main four sections of Goblin6, and then there are like subsections. So, one thing I'm really proud of is we're hosting our own Resident Evil Outbreak server, but again, that was only possible because of the awesome dudes at outbreakserver.org who made their tech public. And there are also streams and podcasts. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick overview of everything we have. So again, established Halloween 2017. I think it's an appropriate date to launch a Resident Evil site. So normally a lot of people get their news from, Twitter, Instagram, and that's fine. But I always enjoyed how I would go to Resident Evil fan sites and I would get my news there. Hell, even if Twitter and all that was around back then, I would have still gone to the sites. And one thing that is actually pretty cool about cataloging the news is how, any given day, I could go back and actually look at the history of how I follow Resident Evil. So again, goblin6.com, it will bring you to the main site, and we do have a theme going on. Actually, some people have caught on to it. Some people still haven't. Some people will tell me, "Hey, dude, the colors are weird." But we're going for like a military-esque theme. So once you come to the site, I chose, actually the reason why it launched in 2017 was because I wanted to what's the word I'm looking for, to basically be ready for the release of Resident Evil 2 of the remake, because the original Resident Evil, that's what got me into gaming. I mean, I gamed with Sonic 2, but that's what really, my love for the series, 3D horror, like, that really kicked it off. So I thought it would be appropriate to, have the RPD in the background and Leon and Claire on the banner. So, they're the ones who, first Resident Evil heroes. So on the site, I try to cover a lot of things, but Resident Evil news, they're pretty far between, games. I mean, games do come out pretty often, and we are lucky in that sense. But you will eventually run out of Resident Evil games and movies to talk about. So I try to post about anything that ex-directors from Resident Evil have been working on, and but again, the main focus is the main series as well. So for example, when you come on the site, one thing I did work really hard was to find a theme that had the classic, you could say, one column layout. And the reason for that was because when I jumped online on the old school, what was it called, RE Horror, now it's Rely on Horror, they had that layout. Vintage Project Umbrella, spent a lot of time on that site. And also, I think there was a German one, I think it was called like RE All Stars or RE Stars. But anyway, I managed to find something and got it up and running. So it breaks down like this. So news will always be here, and everything is always cataloged in its appropriate section. And it's actually cool if you click on the, well, let me show you. So you go into the title and it brings up the like a bigger view of the post. So we do have comments, and they are available for everyone, but unfortunately lately been getting bombarded with a lot of spam. So there are countermeasures to prevent that, but I mean, the internet, it's a weird place. Like, dudes are spending their time and energy trying to just spam post porn on my site. Well, on the site. I shouldn't say my site, on the site. And whenever I post something, so I actually made a post about it on the forum. I did have to lock comments where only I could approve them, which sucks because if somebody posts, then they gotta wait for me to basically approve it. But again, I mean, trust me, there's a lot of weird stuff coming in from the Czech Republic and China. I've checked those IPs, so yes, it's weird. So anytime I post something, if it comes to me from another source, especially for example, even though it's technically only me working on the site, my buddy Geth, he also contributes to it. So I'm not online as often as I could be or would like to be. So have been a lot of posts where he will send me, link a trailer that just came out. Or actually, for example, when Resident Evil Village was coming out, he actually played the demo, the maiden demo. I never even played it because I don't have a PS5. And he took pictures of it and sent them to me, and we posted them on the site. So like in this case, he contributed to it, so massive thanks to him there. And anytime a post goes up, I try to link anything relevant to it. So for example, one thing that I'm really proud of is the light box. So whenever there's a video posted on the site, if you click on it, it'll bring up a light box and you could actually see the content. So for example, what I like about that is that it doesn't send you to YouTube, because I try to set it up where whoever comes to the site could stay on the site. And obviously I do appreciate YouTube hosting for free, right? For basically anybody who's online. I do miss the days of websites hosting their own videos. The reason for that is because I always dreamed of making my own stylizing my own media player. And back in the glory days of Flash, oh shit, I'm old. That was like a badge of honor. Like somebody put together their own media player. But videos, they're too big and traffic is high volume as well. So obviously, YouTube is the way to go. But this is one thing I'm really proud of. I do wish I could customize it. So even though I'm about to show off a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of elements that give Goblin 6 an online presence, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never dropped a line of code in my life. I couldn't type up HTML to save my life. So honestly, hopefully, people see it and enjoy it, but it's honestly like duct tape together. I mean, it's the nicest way to say it, but yeah, I'm still really proud of it. And again, anything I put on the site, I try to set it up where people don't have to leave the site and they could stay and experience, Resident Evil and Goblin 6, right? Because everybody's on YouTube, everybody's on, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and all those sites. I mean, the site is obviously stylized in one way, but everybody's profile looks the same, and all the videos look the same, all the thumbnails look the same eventually. So I do miss the days of you would look up any game and there would be a fan site for it, right? So that's the main idea on the site. And a lot of times there will also, be a thread for it on the forum. So we're gonna jump into the forum right now, but one thing that I realized quickly was that I had to split up Goblin 6 into different sections because, again, because of my lack of coding skills, I can't keep everything in one spot. So for example, the site has news, and this is, you could say, our main offering, right? I'll go through these in a bit. And then of course I have short profiles for every game. I'm actually behind. Gotta fix Biohazard 2. I think that was fixed for the remake, Biohazard 4. So one quick thing. And then as you go down, we are on Twitch, and we dumped Twitter. We're on Mastodon. The reason for that is it's not political, but everything that Goblin Source has been built on, and I would say 97% of the tools that were used for it are open source. And I really dig open source. And hell, if it were up to me, I would, host my own instance. And, I wouldn't mind. Maybe there's something that I could look into in the future, right? And we are on YouTube, but I call it a media vault. So, it's just a dump of all the videos there. And also, affiliates. Honestly, we only have one. I reached out to a couple of old school Resident Evil sites, and two responded. One, the last I heard was, hey, I'll talk to the crew and see what's going on. Again, personally, this is a badge of honor for me to have affiliates on my sidebar, because again, back in the glory days of the internet, that was again one of the things that, like, oh man, that's so cool. And really proud to have Project Umbrella on there, and hell, even on their Discord, like, we're like listed as affiliates, so that's really cool. And then on the bottom here, I have a badge for the site, and I did this one up really quick for the 50-year anniversary, so a few people caught it, but not everybody. And here are some really quick links to stuff that's going to be on the top. So again, for the game bios, I guess you could say, I try to write them vague, just in case if anybody is getting into Resident Evil for the first time, they will, nothing will be spoiled for them, right? They could enjoy that ride just the way I did. So on the top right, really quick, this is again one of the things I'm really proud of, is being able to host our own Outbreak server. So I'll talk about that more in a bit, but I made this button basically so it's online. So it's live. It's been live since December 30th. No, yeah, December 31st, 20, was it 2021 or 2020? I'll check the forum post right now. But whenever it goes offline, that this green section here will change to orange, and it will say Outbreak server is offline. Now, one thing that, so before Outbreak server made their stuff public, I made a post on the forum, on their forum, and I had this crazy idea where, hey, what if other Resident Evil fan sites had like something like this on their site, and it would link back to Outbreak server for anybody who was interested in playing. And nobody responded to it. So that was still an idea that I had, and I kept it. And now that we are able to host, we put it up there. So beneath that, really quick, the search bar, and the search is actually really good. It's something that fortunately just on luck worked. So you could, once you type something in, it will bring up everything, any post that has those relevant keywords in it, right? So again, really, really cool. And I refer to GOBLIN6 as the biohazard server. The reason is because obviously it's hosted on a server, and I mean, just servers in general are just cool, just the word server, right? So for example, if you click home, it'll bring you to the main page, as well as clicking up here on top, GOBLIN6. And the FAQ, or FAQ, or fuck as someone once called it, that's a very long text of how and why the site came to be. Again, inspired by all the great fan sites that came before us. And very few are still around, and it sucks that a lot of them have disappeared. So, we're on year 5, and, I'll be honest, and one thing for anybody who hasn't seen any of our videos, we keep it real. So, shit, I'll keep the site up until my dying breath. So, hopefully this V will one day be like 4X's or something, for like 40 years, or, we'll see how long we'll, again, either, the zombie apocalypse does happen and all servers go offline. But yeah, we're here for a while. So here, files, one thing I really liked about old school Resident Evil fan sites is, you would go under any game and read the files, right? That was one of the coolest things about Resident Evil, just reading the files and getting that extra story, right? That was called the Keeper's Diary, Itchy Tasty. That's epic. That's gaming history right there. The GOBLIN6 files, I have to fix this. Let me go back to the home screen. Or you know what? I'm doing this wrong. So I'll jump back really quick. Once you go to FAQ, again, it'll be, you know, the whole text of how and why we came online, right? And once you go into the files, it is listed by game. And I try to word everything, you know, as, I guess, I don't want to say corporate and I don't want to say military-esque because I'm not sure, probably one of those is wrong, but you know, just so like Umbrella would do it, right? So everything, you know, there's a brief description of the game, and then the archive, right? So like, you know, another thing I'm not sure if a lot of people have noticed, but I do a combination of the Japanese and the North American titles because, you know, we're a North American site. So for example, now, you know, very few people know this, but in Japan, you know, Resident Evil is called Biohazard, and in North America, or I guess, you know, the rest of the world, is called Resident Evil. So did a combination of, so, you know, like Biohazard 1, Biohazard 2, 3, 4, you know, Code Veronica, blah, blah, blah. The reason is for two things. One was if I typed in, you know, Resident Evil, blah, 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 these could have gone over the limit and then they wouldn't be spaced evenly. One classic example is, so for example, like Resident Evil Dead Aim, right? That's what it's called in the in the West, I guess you could say. In Japan, it's called Gun Survivor. What is it? Gun Survivor 4: Heroes Never Dies. Some weird thing like that. So, you know, a combination of both, right? So let's see here. So, you know, you go into Biohazard 2, and then it says right here, right, in-game files as presented in the official North American release of Biohazard 2. You know, Leon first run, clear second run, Leon A, clear B, etc. So as, you know, thanks to Project Umbrella, a lot of people know now that our files are fucked up. There's errors in the timeline, dates, etc. because of the translation. And if you want to see the perfect Japanese translation into English, you know, Project Umbrella, they have them. But, you know, us being on this side of the world, I decided to post it as the games were released, and it would be cool to go back and actually learn Japanese and translate them. You know, maybe they spot something that I miss, I spot something that they miss, which I doubt. But, you know, again, something that could be could be done further down the road. So the Goblin6 files, this I'm gonna fix because, like, I will leave this creators, studios. These are basically anybody who's ever touched the Resident Evil game, but I do have to update this as well. And technology, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about how stuff is made. But here, I'll probably remove this because I think it would be better if I did, like, what's the word I'm looking for? If I wrote like playing Biohazard 1, playing Biohazard 2, and like a full breakdown of my personal experience with it. I think that would be pretty cool. So this is definitely, you know, the site, I don't think it will ever be finished. You know, news will come as new games are released, but there's always like that one thing that, like, oh man, it would be better if I changed this, or if I added that, or this one thing I did sucks, so let me remove it. So, you know, it will constantly be updated. The the Goblin6 Outbreak server, you know, again, we're hosting, but, you know, we'll go through that in a bit. Actually, wait a minute, I don't think it'll link me. Okay, yeah, so for example, again, big shout out to the Fog and everybody at Outbreak server who made it possible, everybody on the forum who helped me get it running, because again, I am fairly tech savvy, and, you know, we have it in the King's English and in El Español. You know, I'm bilingual, and I thought it would be a cool idea to basically have doors open with the focus in those two languages, you know, because those are the ones I speak. You know, if I spoke more, you know, definitely set it up in that language. It is super vanilla. There are features that Outbreak server, the forum, has that trying to basically copy, like, you know, who's online, who's playing, what level with who. And but again, you know, that's HTML, that's CSS, that's PHP. You know, I know what's needed, but I don't know how to do it and have no training whatsoever. So, you know, hopefully one day I could figure that out. And the wiki, you know, we have our own wiki, and again, growing. but these two games, they're cataloged, and again, people could pull it up while they're playing, get familiar with the game, and then eventually, they'll be able to master it. People who maybe have never tried Outbreak, maybe they'll give it a try once they see the wiki and all the cool stuff that you can unlock. So hopefully. And oh, I gotta fix this, you see, because we had a Twitter account with updates on the server, if it's up, if it's down, if it's going to be rebooted, etc. But that moved over to Mastodon, so I gotta fix that. And like I said, I try to keep it here. And here's a first run of that first session, and that's me right there with my buddy. Well, that's me carrying Bob, but me and my buddy Geth. Where is it? Let's see. I think I skipped it. No, wait. I'm trying to look for the one image where once you start the game and it shows both characters. Alright, dude, this is taking too long. Anyway, here's for anybody looking to join, hey, it works, right? So again, really cool. So, oh, here, server updates. Again, really nerdy, something I'm proud of, but I try to have a history of all the updates that have been done to the site. So, version 1.0 was Halloween 2017, and the last real major update was Halloween 2019, which technically, getting nerdy, in the Goblin 6 lore, technically we're on version 1.4. 2.0 would be probably being able to incorporate cool add-ons to the Outbreak server, right? But yeah, so technically we're on version 1.4. Here's a history of everything we've done and all that good stuff. So I did start podcasting, but again, it's been a while. And the podcast that I had set up, I didn't want to call it, the GOBLIN6 podcast, because I thought that was kind of lame. So I called it Spectre. So, Spectre, so like Goblin6, right? Goblin6 is a character from Resident Evil. A lot of people don't know that. But, it sounds cool, right? It sounds like a military operation. So Spectre, as well, you have words like, Spectre, Overlord, Command, in military and Resident Evil, right? Like Command. We all know Command is, Umbrella. And so yeah, it's called Spectre, and you could click on them, and they're on YouTube in video format. They're also in audio format on Spotify. Actually, if you click this, it will take you to the actual audio file, and you could play it in your browser again, so you don't have to leave the site, and you could download it right there. If you want to have a collection of it, it's all there. And the stream archive. So one thing I always dreamt about was having gameplay, right, of everything I played, and I did start recording footage late ever since the site was launched. But I finally figured it out. Well, not finally, but a few years back I figured it out, and we have everything listed here. So again, you don't have to leave the site. So if you click on that, it will open up another window with a list of well, let me show you guys. So you click on this, right? And I only have 3 sessions recorded, but again, you click on it and you see you're still here on the site, and you could follow along, and then maybe jump over to YouTube and check out the rest of the other videos, whatever. So one thing I will never say, because everybody's heard it to death, and it does sound kind of what's the word I'm looking for, kind of sleazy, is follow, subscribe, because I do this for fun. Obviously, something like this could be monetized, but the only way to do it is, what's the word I'm looking for, is basically disingenuous. So for example, one thing I do promise, and I've said it before, and you guys could hold my word for it, there will never be ads on the site, ever. 1, because ads suck. 2, because fortunately it's affordable to be able to host, and it's just nasty. Like, I can't do that to the site or Resident Evil, right? But yeah, like, there will never be ads on the site. But for example, one thing that where I do suffer is I can't hold a streaming schedule. A lot of things going on outside of the site. You know, technically 2 jobs, 2 lives, etc. But when I do stream, I always catalog it. So it's always, for example, the day I stream, within 48 hours it'll be on YouTube, and that's because sometimes it's happened to me like 4 times where I actually have to contact YouTube like, hey, my video is stuck. But fortunately, there's an export on Twitch. And I did do a test of streaming on YouTube, and for some reason, the quality was terrible. And on Twitch, it's better. For me, at least personally. But again, all the streams, all the, I guess you could say, outgoing media, again, streams, video like this, podcasts, that, just like the entire site, it's for fun. It's for the love of the game, right? For the love of Resident Evil. So, again, you guys will never hear, please follow, please subscribe, please hit the notification button, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, because, dude, everybody's heard that so many times, and I'm trying to bring the internet back to when it was fun, right? Where it wasn't about numbers, where it wasn't about, basically trying to bleed people dry or something like that. But no, again, this is for fun. It's, me sharing my love of Resident Evil to everyone else, and hopefully anybody who hasn't played Resident Evil, maybe with the help of the site, could start playing and enjoy it, right, as much as I do. So, hopefully. So then one other thing, not one other thing. Oh, so then as you go on here, it will open up in a new tab the next section, right? So for example, let's see. So the forum. This is as important. Well, every section of Goblin6 is very important for me. But before I knew I had to break the site down into, I guess you could say, subsections, basically, what's it called? Not subdirectories. What's the word I'm looking for? Subdomains. I said there has to be a forum for the site. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how to do it, but there has to be a forum for it. I know Discord is a thing and it's great, right? It has a place, it does a lot of good things very well. But personally, for archiving information, for discussion, it doesn't work for me. Again, I came up on forums, gaming forums, of course. Dreamcast, Junkyard, again, Project Umbrella. I also lurked on, Resident Evil Fan. Like, that was just great, right? But again, as usual, I'm 12 years late to the party, but the forum is here, and I try to break it down in a way where it's enjoyable for everybody. So for example, you come up here, member archives, that's self-explanatory, right? We actually are getting, new people, and this, the site does have views, right? But people don't sign up, which does suck, because like even on Twitch when I'm streaming, like everybody that I know is watching me, but then there's like twice as many unknowns watching as well, right? And I wish they would follow, because when they follow and they type, I could see who it is, right? And at least say thanks, right, for anybody dropping in. So there are rules, right, for the forum. Now, one thing personally that I've discovered is that a lot of forums, they either were, because they're not around anymore, or they still are very anal about posting, right? Like, I get it. Sometimes people don't poke around and learn the layout. Some people, they'll just do the simple shit don't work post, right? Like, I get that. I do, but it takes a second to reply. It takes a second to move something to where it should go. So, again, keeping it real here at Goblin6, don't be afraid to post. It doesn't matter if something's been asked to death. Like, think about it this way. If we were a band and people wanted me to talk about their favorite song, like, of course. So, just like here, like, post. Do not be afraid to post. So, some very quick, it's been updated twice. So, again, this is, Halloween 2017 when it first launched. And then it was updated, what date is this? 3/20/2020. So, quick parentheses, I broke the forum 3 times trying to get everything to work. This is the 4th version of it. And, it has the same banner, it has the same background. So trying to stick with that visual language, right? So, there are a few rules, right? Simple rules. I think they're not too out there. So, for example, the big no-nos are, please do not be disrespectful to members of the forum, including staff. We're all here to have fun. Use one-word replies. I mean, yeah, use could, right? But I mean, just try to make a conversation. Trust me, I'm the dumbest person I know, and it took me years to be able to type into a forum. But let's get talking, right? Resident Evil games, movies, music, whatever it is. We're here to chat. Do not create religious or political topics. Because everybody has right to their opinion, and it's respected, and that gets heated really quick. And yeah, I mean, we're here to have fun, right? Not to jump online and get mad at each other. So, the other one is make sexist, racist, or offensive remarks. Again, your ideas are your own, and that's fine. But again, we're here to have fun. What else? Oh, don't use any offensive stuff, on your... I know a lot of sites ban banners. Banners are allowed here. And a lot of sites have these really super tiny avatars. We have a gallery of avatars that people could choose from. So, have fun with it, but, keep it safe for work, basically. And then, no game downloads, right? ROMs, ISOs, bins, etc. The only, or, any copyrighted material, right? I mean, dude, like, again, we're here to have fun. What you could upload are, like, or link to, are, like, game saves or modding tools, right? Because all that is free. So, like, that's cool, but, just have fun. And I have been updating the forum constantly, not just in layout, but in features. So, for example, like spoilers, right? So this was a big one for me. So, like, anybody who could see here, sometimes you're talking about maybe the latest Resident Evil that just came out, and somebody who hasn't made it to that part is reading it. Just put in a quick spoiler, and here you go. And here's a picture of how to do it. And the other thing too, one thing I'm really proud of is, again, a light box for the image. Well, this is a bad example because look, it blew it up over here. But basically it blows it up in the middle and it makes everything darker. And what else? Oh, we could also add icons. We could add buttons for downloads. And there are ranks. Ranks go up every 50. I brought it down. It used to be 100. So the highest rank anybody could make it on the forum is Blue Umbrella. And there are 2 reserved ranks. One is the biohazard sign. That's for GOBLIN6, right? So for example, like right here, biohazard sign, when my Keth is the only other person who has a biohazard symbol. And I thought it would be cool to save the umbrella logo for anybody coming from another Resident Evil site, right? If they let me know, I could set it up, or hell, I can make a different one with their logo on it, right? So, that's pretty cool. So again, anybody who wants to come to the forum, again, so I split it up by quote servers. Those are basically the categories. So the UMF 013 server, as we all know, that's the server that Wesker stole from Umbrella. So, member archives, introduce yourself here. Asset archives, show off your collection, or, your latest pickups or whatever, just, a picture's worth 1,000 words. The forum is set up for pictures, for Lightbox, do it. The Birkin server. So the Birkin server is the only server where only GOBLIN6 staff could post, basically site news. So people could reply, but this is the only section where only Goblin6 could create the topics. So, the Goblin6 Outbreak server, again, 2 different sections, the King's English and Espanol. There's troubleshooting sections in each. There's setup in each. And I also share the latest streams on there, right? And then we have the Spencer server, which breaks down into 3 subsections. So the classic Biohazard archives, that's self-explanatory, right? The classic games. And the modern Biohazard archives, the new generation after Resident Evil 4. And this I gotta bring back. I had done something called raid mode, which is basically like a game club, right? I had the idea of 1 game a month, with a brief description, history, hopefully a fan site if it did exist. So for example, let me click into this. So it would lock after that month was finished. So for example, here's a breakdown of, so look, you see, they do load better. So for example, again, I wanted to theme it to something in the Resident Evil universe, so raid mode, right, from Resident Evil Revelations. So for example, each month had a game, and it would send you to the thread. When it was online, it would say in progress, and then it would switch over to complete. So then if you clicked into any one, so like let's say the first one, Parasite Eve, right? You had a brief history of the game, links to fan sites, and probably the best video that I could find for that game of somebody talking about it. So I do want to bring this back because I thought it was a pretty cool idea. And then we have the Wesker server. So the Wesker server, basically modding. So I named it Research and Development, and there are 2 sections, right? Progenitor and Ouroboros. So, Resident Evil fans know that Progenitor, that's the original classic virus, right? So again, for classic Resident Evil titles. Ouroboros, that's Wesker, that's modern, modding for modern titles. And then after that, we have the Ashford server, which is, general chat, audio archive, music and podcast, cinema, movie discussion, game archive, could be modern or retro, and then, literature, graphic literature, TV, etc. So really quick, if we go into the Outbreak server section, you get the full layout of how to set up for Resident Evil Outbreak. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I've been talking for 40 minutes with no water, and I had this thing in my throat. Okay, so moving on really quick. Again, I'm not gonna cut that out. Like I said, we keep it real. So the wiki is probably I'm really behind on it, so I'm trying to have, I guess, guides and profiles, right? But here's one thing that I thought was really cool. So for example, I broke it up into characters and BLWs. So obviously this could be expanded upon and it could mature into various subsections. But these are all based, again, on the North American info from the Resident Evil archives, basically the 2 Bibles that came out. So for example, a complete profile would be something like G, right? So for example, here's a profile, again, based on the Resident Evil archives, but it's been edited for, very minimal for, grammar, and just, I mean, some lines were just dumb, like whoever wrote it, was probably hated doing it. So I try to make it sound better, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not boring, right? So for example, this is a complete profile, so it has the descriptions, obviously like a main image, and first appearance, and then for example, like for someone like G, first form G, right? And then second form G, and then third form G, and then fourth form G, then fifth, and then geodo body, etc. So all of the screenshots on the site, on the forum, on the wiki, etc., I took them in game. Now, another thing that I do promise is that all screenshots on Goblin 6 will not be watermarked. Now, that is one thing I noticed during the early days of gaming fan sites, is that people would put up images and then watermark the shit out of them. Now, I get it. You know, people take stuff. I mean, a personal side note, you know, I have a background in 3D. Hell, I've reviewed applications that have my artwork on it, right? Like, people steal stuff. It's stupid, but I mean, people do it. But again, no watermarks ever, because for me, putting up something with a watermark, I think detracts from the brand, and the brand is Resident Evil. So you know, this is a complete profile, and actually, if you click on Birkin, you know, it'll take you to Birkin, and then, you know, here's his profile, and, you know, the events, right? But again, something like this would need, like, one thing that could be done is to create like a classic entry, right, for the original Resident Evil 2, because everything is based on the current history. So, you know, like right here, the remake, right? So on the sidebar and main screen, you know, you have a link to the main areas. And one thing that I did set up that is really cool, and again, I'm also proud of, is we actually have an IRC chat. So IRC is ancient, but I think it's really cool. One thing that would be cool is to be able to host our own IRC server, because we are on, is it pronounced Libera or Libera? You know, I'll use the Spanish that I know, Libera chat. So the channel is in password locked. You could register your name, you know, if you want your handle, and you could click on here and it will take you to the web chat. You just type in a name, hit enter, and then type away. I'm always on it. So, you know, either on my cell phone, on my laptop, on my computer, like, I'm always there. You know, just something cool to have. But again, the best thing would be to, well, the coolest thing would be to have like chat.goblin6.com or irc.goblin6.com instead of, you know, using another, I get, well, third party, whatever. But again, open source, it's cool, and that is something that I do want to do. That would be pretty cool. So then I guess you could say the last section is the gallery. So again, I always wanted a photo gallery, and what I do is, it's funny because one of my personal friends, right? We grew up playing Resident Evil 2 together. It was 3 of us, and dude asked me, like, once I had set it up and sent out the links, dude was like, "Why are you, you know, getting screenshots?" Well, the reason is because, you know, sites go down; they don't stay up forever. And one really good example is Bioflames, right? I remember the first time I heard that the original Resident Evil 2 was actually the second version of Resident Evil 2 that they worked on, and there was another one that got scrapped, and Bioflames somehow got the images and they had them online. And the other day I was like, oh, well, let me check that site, you know, check out the artwork. And I remember I used to hang out there all the time because, you know, first of all, like, how do these people get these screenshots? And then, you know, back then, how do you even host a website or something like that? So since it's Resident Evil 2, you know, all I have to do is click in there, and, you know, the most recent game is up there, you know, the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Leon run, the Claire run, the artwork, the media, which is the official production renders that Capcom releases. You know, I think it's just cool to have. And then so like here, right, Bioflames. So again, Bioflames doesn't exist anymore. So I'm hosting for archival purposes. Obviously, if the site comes back and they tell me, hey dude, fuck off, those are our images, yeah, you know, that's fine, that's no worries. You know, I'll delete the folder. But since, you know, since the site is down and I don't see anybody talking about it, that's why I'm hosting it. So for example, let me look for a good image. I'll just click on this one. So when you click on an image on a thumbnail, you know, it'll bring you to, like, I guess you could say, the focused screen. But remember, these are old 4x3s. So when you click on it, again, it will bring up the image in its full size. So for example, one thing I want to show is like, okay, like a modern game, right? So this is a concept art. So these are usually all 1920 by 1080. For example, if I clicked on like the crocodile, it fills up the slot. But when you click on it again, boom. And I don't think I have images bigger than this, but for example, again, something cool, right? Basically with Goblin 6, besides, getting nerdy about Resident Evil gaming, there's a history here, right? There's over 20 years of history, lore history, fan history, and again, me being able to help out in any way, I think it's pretty cool. So that is basically it for this video that I wanted to make. So, oh, and there was another site that I found that actually has the backgrounds, and again, it's fully disclosed here, right? And again, there's a link to that website, and again, if they want me to take it down, that's fine. But I always put there, right, uploaded for archival purposes. And it's really cool comparing the other versions, and this is something that I did want to do. But yes, actually, stuff like this and the biohaze stuff are things that I didn't get screenshots for, but I'm hosting again for archival, right? And the other thing too, right, like if something is not from us, it's there. I'll put it up like, hey, credit to this site or this person who got them. And again, just trying to keep the history going. So let's see. So yeah, that is basically it for everything that we have on Goblin 6. And remember, we try to stream, try to podcast as often as we can. But, unfortunately, it's a schedule that I can't keep constant. If I could, I would. And, there has to be a way, if time isn't available, time can be made. But that is something that has to be figured out. But, hey, any short little breadcrumb that I could do or contribute, because trust me, like, even if I'm not streaming or posting like every damn day, I've been working on this site, well, on Goblin 6 as a whole since 2017. So yeah, slowly but surely here we are. And yeah, if any other Resident Evil sites are watching, hell, hey, feel free to reach out. And any stream you guys want to do together, podcast you guys want to do together, hell, I'm all for it. Yeah, why not? Let's grow the community, and hopefully we could help people discover and enjoy Resident Evil the way that we do, the way we did, and we do still enjoy it to this day. So right, dudes, that was long. I should have gotten something to drink. Sorry for the cough, but I'm not gonna edit this. Again, we keep it real. This is a one take thing, and fuck it. It's going up, and hopefully people who have lurked the site, hopefully this will help them stay on it, or somebody who has never discovered Goblin 6. Here we are. Let's game and let's enjoy Resident Evil together. Alright, dudes, I am out of here. I will see you guys online. Peace.